Hey everybody, Kevin here, back with Jess for another creative breakdown. Jess, thank you again for agreeing to share some time with us. And first, yeah, thanks for being here.
Yep, my pleasure. You're very persuasive, Kevin, and the compliment also helps. But we
Yes,
won't get it.
well, sure, yeah. Oh, that's only fair. I am in Raba's office. Raba's on vacation in Spain, hopefully far away from work stuff. But he has a standing desk, and I've never used a standing desk before, and I kind of am starting to get why people do it. But again, if I drop out somewhere in the middle and just go down like third period French, then you'll know that
It's
something is
a
amiss.
it's a blood pressure thing. Just keep on top of it.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I'll just start jogging in place. Okay, so a lot of you guys raised your hand, and you said that you're interested in having Jess take a whack at one of your creative campaigns. And the first one that came in was from member Daphna Gall, and it was a ad campaign for Callie's books, and so that's what we're going to take a look at today. So, Daphna, and thank you to everybody else, by the way, who raised your hand. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but let's get to the item at hand and take a look at this. And Jess, I think you're going to share your screen, right?
Yep, can do.
Okay.
Let's see here. All right. Can you see it? Good.
Yep, got it.
Cool. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do something a little different and just go in wicked cold this time is because that's how viewers approach it, going in cold. So I wanted to see if I could harness some of that same ignorance of the brand before I start digging into it.
Makes sense.
So Callie's books. So the one thing is, I'll try and get just a quick sense of the scale of the brand, and you can kind of do that in the ads library by looking at the number of followers here. 6,000. Usually, if they're running a lot of ads, they'll have like a bunch of likes on the page and stuff like that. And then I also will scroll down to the bottom to see how much ads they are actually running here. And this is a pretty good amount. So there's a lot going on here, and there's stuff that's active all the way back in April here, April 7th, April 2nd. So why I like to get down to the bottom of the ad account is because the ads library only shows what's active, and
Right.
it's also sorted in chronological order. So the ads that are older here are ones that have not been necessarily turned off. They're still on, which kind of means they're the more effective. They're working for the most part.
Okay.
So that's interesting. But we'll sort of start back here at the top.
Can I ask you a quick question, Jess? You were talking about, and I totally get your the idea of coming in cold, but I also find myself thinking a little bit about the fact that, like, if you come across these ads, especially through retargeting, it's like you've already shown some interest in children's books or whatever, or been identified through other means as somebody who's got young kids around the house, or young kids that you are, maybe your grandparent or whatever. In that sense, you are. I feel like you're coming in cold, but you're a warm conversation in a sense.
Maybe I might not know the brand at all. And everyone's using like broad targeting these days, so it's hard to say. Facebook might not know that I'm already into children's books at this point. Certainly, probably some of these are going to be retargeting, and if we'll look through them, you can kind of get a sense of what a retargeting ad is versus a prospecting ad. But
Makes sense.
so I'm just going to start with this first one here.
Okay.
Just going to read it. Get ready to read with kid-friendly buttons on each page that plays soothing nursery rhymes and classic stories. So it's already it's more than a book. There's some like technology aspect. Perfect gift for your little reader. Expose them to new language and cultures while cultivating a love for books. That's interesting. Not something I would expect here. So finding your unique selling point or something that's going to differentiate you, because I have a parent, or I am a parent. I have a bunch of kids. I've gone through the whole book thing. It's hard to find something new these days, and there's so many places to get them, from like secondhand to the library to books delivered monthly. So anything where there's something new, and I feel like playing soothing nursery rhymes is something that's done before. There's always books that have some speaker built in or something, but exposing them to new language and cultures, I personally feel is more interesting. And as a parent, my job is not to there's certainly books that help people read, but I also want to broaden their horizons, personally. So I almost feel like exposing them to new languages and cultures is more important than this top one. And the unfortunate thing is with these Facebook ads in feed, there's only 3 lines. So anyone's going to see, if they see this in their feed, they're going to see these first 3 lines, and there's going to be a see more here, and they're not going to see more. It's usually less than 1% of people actually click the see more, which isn't a lot. So you want to make sure the most interesting thing is sort of at the top here. And for me personally, I'd rather know that I'm exposing the new language and cultures than there's buttons on it,
Makes sense. Yeah.
All right, so let's watch this video here, and you can just nod or tell me if you can hear the audio coming through.
Okay.
Okay, interesting. Well, let me stop that. So, just to take a little bit of a side note, because I am going to pick this apart, and the reason why I get really picky and really detailed oriented is because I truly feel that all of the scale that you can get from an ad is already encoded by the time before you even put it on the platform. Because there's a lot of times people are like, oh, my ads don't last very long. And I look at them and they're like, well, of course not. There's nothing to it. There's not much there. It's not very long. And it feels like, based on our experience, you can put 6 figures behind an ad if the ad is very robust and it tackles a lot of different scenarios, and there's a lot going on and stuff. And you do all the right things creatively to do that. And it feels like if you can create the best possible ad that has the most level of scale encoded into it, the media buyer's job is to extract that efficiently. But the media buyer can't do anything when the ad is 10 seconds and based on a meme from 2 months ago,
Right.
So every little detail really adds up to an ad that can truly scale. And when I'm looking at these, I'm not the first pass is not what's wrong with it or what's going on. The first pass is how am I feeling when I'm looking at this? And then once I can sort of understand how I'm feeling, I can dig into why I'm feeling that way.
Right.
So with this one, what I did notice is that, I'm watching it and I'm reading it, but what I feel like is missing is voiceover. So we'll play it again, and it just feels like that's just a part that's missing from it. So let's just play the first part again.
Okay.
So it feels so we have this concept where it's there's 3 pipes to the brain that you can communicate information in. One is visual, you can demonstrate that there's lots of fun books. in the video. You can also use text to say what you need to say. And then you can also use voiceover as well. And to communicate the most amount, or to get people to understand it the most, ideally you want to use all three. Just because, when someone's watching this ad, they may be reading this or they may not. But if someone was voicing it over, you can't miss it, as long as the sound is on.
Well, not to mention, by the way, like your target audience, if you're talking about parents with littles, right? It's like you're constantly distracted. And so it's like, all the more reason to kill the lead, like to, jump in with both feet, like make sure that you're getting their attention really early on. And then also make sure that it's a sort of target-rich environment conversationally, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. So it just feels like, okay, so the first 3 seconds are always the most important. It's like it's not just the thumb stop that gets people to stop, but it's the point where it has the most signal to do creative targeting. So with this one, it says you need something fun and engaging for your little ones. So it's asking that question, and if I'm reading that and I'm saying yes, I'll stick around a little bit longer. But the challenging thing is the video is not, like, the problem here is my young ones are they're bored or something, or they don't stick around. They don't. The normal books are dumb or whatever. They just bite on them or something. They're not engaged. And so the solution is like to find something fun. But with this one, you need to put me in the place where that problem exists. Like, show me a baby that is not, see, this baby is very entertained, but show me a baby that's like on a iPad or something, or show me a bunch of like books that are piled up in the garbage because they're not used or something, or something like that. Get me into the problem before you start bringing out the solutions here.
Right. And I would also say that, like, just again playing the parent card for a second, like another one of those. It's like your kids will love a book and then it will fall out of fashion, and it will like way out of fashion. And so I would think that getting some footage of a kid being like not happy with the status quo, probably not that hard.
Yeah. Yep. You can also start with the solution if you reorient it. So here we have this kid who's very clearly engaged in this book, and they're loving it. They're having so much fun, and as a parent, you see that, and you're like, it just triggers the feel. So if you took that clip and put it right in the beginning and was like, "Do your kids have this much fun with books?" And then I think, like, well, no, because my experience is, they don't. And then now, then you can sort of, you feel the problem because you've already experienced it, and you're sort of seeing the solution as well.
Makes sense.
These first 3 seconds aren't really grabbing. There's nothing. There's not a lot of visual intrigue here to get me to stop, unless I read this. But you shouldn't make an ad where it sort of requires you to read that for them to, be hooked. And I'm also not a favor of, like, there's a big trend these days of the thumb stop is just like anything weird or like gross or has like goo in it to make people stop. And then people are like, well, once you've stopped, then you sort of begin the ad. And I personally hate that. I think it's an awful way to do so, because like it's basically clickbait,
Yeah, it's shock value. It feels like a bait and switch.
Right. And then once you stop someone, you still need to engage them in the ad. So it's all you're doing is just like losing 50% of your audience with something weird and gross, and then the ad starts, and you still need another thumb stop to get them into it. Like, I really encourage people to find thumb stops that are native to the problem and solution or native to their product and not just weird.
Makes sense. It's almost
Like-
like you have to win your audience back after something like that, I would think.
Exactly. So if you started with this happy baby, and then the question was like, does your baby love books this much? I need to understand. I see that, and I see a baby, and now I need to understand why that baby likes that book so much. It creates this like question, and the brain is like desperately seeking context in every scenario. So I kind of need that question answered before I can, keep scrolling. So.
Roger that.
Check out these musical books. Your little one will love the easy to press buttons. So one thing that's missing here is like, these are musical books. I can't even hear them. It's like, the audio is in there just a little bit. Like you can't hear it over the song, So in the video, you can demonstrate what this is very quickly, and people will get it and they understand. And like this whole section of like, check out these musical Cali books. Let's see, it's like 2 whole seconds where you could demonstrate that so quickly. And this little clip doesn't really do anything. You're saying, check out these musical books, but I don't know how the music works in these books. I'm a little bit confused. They just look like sort of normal books, and you can demonstrate that very quickly and then move on to something more interesting.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
So
We'll treat this like a press conference. So would you, in that situation, would you pot the music bed down and then bring in the essentially like the book sounds over the top of that, or do you recommend like actually like cold stop, get rid of the music bed altogether so people can hear it? I mean, obviously done elegantly, but what do you have an opinion on that one way or the other?
Yeah, so this is interesting because it's music over music. Usually when there's VO,
right,
you can pull the music bed down. But with this one, I would actually not start with the music. I'd start with, the baby laughing, and then a very, very easy to digest clip of the actual music coming out of these things. And then you can go into the emotional music bed and to tell the rest of the story, something like that. But
totally makes sense.
So here's a clip. It starts right here at around 9 seconds, and then it goes to 13 seconds. So probably about 4 seconds where nothing happens on screen except this baby. And I think people's attention spans are short, and we usually try and edit videos where something needs to happen like every 3 seconds or less. It doesn't mean you need to cut to something else or a whole new feature and benefit. But like if there was like a little thing that popped up right here above her head that's like she loves it, or like in quotes or something, just to give my brain just something else to read and stay until the next cut.
I have another quick sidebar, which I'm curious about. Like, I'm wondering if, like, maybe a second shot or a series of shots that actually show a parent in the frame with the child, because a lot of times that's how that stuff goes down. I mean, this looks like in this situation, this is a kid who you've put in who's enjoying the book by herself, which totally happens, but also like it is a thing that sometimes parents do with their kids. So anyway, just a content thought.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think you need to explore the brand and the purpose more, because they're very separate. Like, absolutely, I want to have some books to share with my kids. Like I read my kids The Hobbit, like both of them. But also there's a whole separate thing where it's like I just want to give something to them so I can go have lunch and do something like that. And they're very separate. I don't know what this brand's all about, but they may be targeting. I mean, this kid's a little young to be left alone, but they may be going after the keep your kids entertained versus
which is a real thing. Yeah.
So the other thing I like to do is, also with the 3 pipes here. So like this kid is being entertained by this book, and you can see that in the video. So that's 1 pipe, but don't just, you need to like reinforce that if you really want it to stick. Like if there was text here that was saying like either, she spent 20 minutes with it or something like that. Then it's just another piece of information in the same clip in the same period of time that reinforces what's going on here. And let the dog in. Come on. And then the third piece of that, if you had that text, is to also have VO of a parent saying that. And now you have like 1, 2, 3. You absolutely know what's going on here, and it's gonna stick as much as possible.
Makes sense.
Dancing along to the fun song. So this is a great little segment here of the dancing baby, because you can't fake this. You can't hire a baby to do this. Every parent knows what natural reactions are. And I'll kind of use this as an analog to UGC these days, because UGC, a lot of people hate UGC, some people love UGC. I think the issue is that the demand for UGC has totally outstripped the supply of people that can do it well and can fake it well. There's only a handful of people that can really like fake it well, and humans are so good at reading people's facial expressions and the tone of their voice, and they know when, even if they're not consciously like, oh, you clearly got paid $60 for this, they feel it,
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And it's something that we all do effortlessly. I feel like we talked about this last time too, but it's like your audience is smart, so you got to treat them like they are.
Right. So this is a very natural reaction for a baby. I don't know how long they took to get this, but one thing that we do when we're like shooting UGC or shooting actors is we try and get as much footage as possible. And a lot of times like the mess ups, or sometimes they just laugh when they're doing it. Those are like general natural reactions. And it's like, those are like emotional juice that you can sort of put in there to make it feel more natural.
Authentic, for sure.
Okay, so I'm really picking this apart here, but there is a music bed to it, and there's a point in the music where it starts to go upbeat, and nothing happens in the video. There's no like additional. It doesn't cut to anything. The music transitions, but the video doesn't. So, to me, that feels like something was missing, or there's just some little bit of like cognitive discomfort there. And this is like super nitpicky, but we try and create videos where there's just people watch them with a level of ease, because it's so easy for them to just get a quick vibe and then they're gone. They scroll and then they're gone. So if we can keep them in a level of like contentment from all different factors, and part of that is like we try and always cut music, cut the video to the on the beat of the video, particularly when there's at the end of a measure here where it's just like it clearly changes. So
yeah, it almost seems like this is a situation where they really liked the overall vibe of the music and then didn't necessarily think through or are missing some opportunities with the way that the music like plays, like essentially like some of the changes that are happening.
Yep. Yep. And then I'm sure you noticed how the music ends here. Let's play this again. This is what?
A little bit of a needle rip situation.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to cut the music there at all. They could have played it right over the end card for sure. But they did, and sometimes people are moving fast or whatever, and they're just like, they don't have the right files, and it's just like they're testing a different end card or whatever. But there's an example where something like that is a very subconsciously negative experience, and it's going to reduce the amount of scale that you can get from this ad, for sure.
I would also just add to that, and this is just my opinion, but I think that like that type of music bed feels like it's a fade out and not a hard cut. Like, you know what I mean? Like just the overall tone of that music bed and what you're talking about feels like it's a softer situation. So it even accentuates that cut a little harder.
And particularly because it starts to like ramp up right here, and you start and then you're like into the baby and you're moving, and it's just like we take it all away from you right here. We take it all away, and we have the logo on here. So now I have like a Cali Books that's just like taken away that feeling from me, and that's not really a marker that you want to put onto your brand.
I would say that the end card is easy to read.
Yep. Yeah. I do love end cards. Yep. Very, very. I always love to see end cards. There's no reason why you should not use an end card. A lot of people are like, an end card, you put an end card and then people like know it's an ad. Well, it's like, no kidding. People aren't going to watch this whole thing thinking it's like some their friend's baby video. They're going to know it's an ad. So if they already know it's an ad, like really seal the deal with a good end card, that has all the relevant information, 5,000 reviews, fun guarantee. So very, very good end card minus the silence.
Right.
Interesting. So we'll see how that does.
Cool.
I apologize for any hurt feelings on that, but let's see. So this one is just a static ad. My 15-month-old is obsessed with this book. He loves starting and stopping each sign, dancing to music, so much fun. Rachel F. This could very well be retargeting, for sure. Just using a straight quote is great. I love doing that if it's a good one, and maybe they've
social proof.
Yep, social proof. It's key. Certainly missing from this ad unit. I didn't detect any type of social proof except at the end, and that's just like this 5,000 review. It's more like a checkbox social proof than any type of like emotional trigger or anything.
Right.
So that's a good one. Okay, so here's another ad, and what I see is that they're using the same copy. Yeah, they're using the exact same copy here and here, and that's fine. They're basically using it everywhere.
Well, and I wonder too, like if it's a situation where you're touting the fact that you've got 5,000 reviews, like come through those. Like I would just think that if you have kids that are the target market for these books, that's never going to go out of style. Like kids that age are always going to behave like kids that age, and so you should just comb it for fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure there's so much good stuff in the comments or in the reviews, and not just like people saying things, but like we come up with so many different angles and pitches just by reading reviews and seeing like a customer will mention something interesting that they use the book for, and then that becomes either like the copy at the top of an ad unit, or it can become a whole ad unit itself because it is interesting. We're trying to get people's interest going here. But One thing I do know is they're using this same 2 lines of copy with every ad. Probably every ad in prospecting here.
Do
And a
you
lot of
think
times,
that?
go ahead.
Sorry. Go. Well, I was just going to ask. Do you think that helps or hurts you in retargeting?
Well, it's not a bad strategy, and then what happen is they'll do a lot of testing to find out what's the best line, what's the best top line. So they've probably tested this and probably know this one generally performs better. Maybe they used a DCT and they put in like 5 different copy lines or something, and this one seemed to perform better. The where I would disagree is that it may perform better in general, but it's not going to perform better tied to the particular video creative. Like I really feel like these 2 things are tied together. The video and the copy are tied together. They see, they'll see the first 3 lines and they'll see the video, and a lot of times there's just better ways to tie. Like if the copy sort of played off the video a little bit, you could create a unit that is better than just like split testing a bunch of different parts and then putting those different parts together.
100%.
How are we doing on time? Can we go through this video?
Oh yeah, we're fine. Let's do it.
Okay. So same copy. Won't get into that. Okay. Does your toddler have a favorite book? Let me watch this again. So again, we have the push and nothing happens, which isn't, he pushed. I need to know what this is to intrigue me. I need to know, like, because they have these at like the drugstore too, and sometimes they're like wicked cheap or whatever. So I kind of need to know what level of quality this is, because I could also get it at the Hallmark store or wherever. I feel like they might even be at the dollar store, these types of things.
No, to your point, there's a lot of noise in that channel, and certainly in the in-store environment.
Yep. So I need to hear this and feel like it's quality and not something super cheap, and I can't hear it, so I don't know, and I'm not interested enough to go to the site and check it out. So this is the first time where I've seen a baby be obsessed. That line is kind of like overused, and maybe this is like the nail in the coffin on it, but I don't know. It feels very weird to have a baby be obsessed with it. There's probably a better line or something. Okay, so one thing I'm missing here. Okay, one thing that's totally missing here, which was totally in the other video, which is critical, and it has to do with the baby. Let's see if you can guess what it is. What's missing, Kevin?
So wait, you're saying like it was in the other video, but it's missing here?
Yep.
Well, you don't really have the shots of the baby are really like the kid is like you have no facial recognition of the child.
Exactly. The baby's face is not in here.
Right.
And like,
so if they're excited about it, you don't see that.
Right. And if there's anything a mother can read better than anything else, it's a baby's face,
Yep.
And so to have this like baby in like witness protection here just does not make a lot of sense.
Well, and to your point, like babies, I have yet to meet a baby that's coy. Like they just don't do it. They're just putting it out there. So it's like
Right.
the expressions are big and they're all cute. Like it's an opportunity.
Absolutely, and it's validation. Like so, the baby can't say I'm obsessed, but you can read obsessed in the face. Like this baby is obsessed right here, um, but this one is not. So
Right.
absolutely, totally missing here. So again, both of these ads are kind of, I'd say they're on the short side. This is 20, this is 28. And it feels like there's so much more that can be said here, and there's so much more that can be delivered that helps sell this through. Like I want to see a mother talking about it. Like I need to see that. I need to see
Right.
a mother using her own words with her own experience. I need to see what I need to see like what the unboxing is like. Is that part of the fun experience? I need to hear these things. I need to hear and see the different variety, because I'm probably not going to go to this website and buy one. It's probably like, to get free shipping, you need to whatever get like $40 worth. So
Right.
I need to make sure that it's not just one. There's a lot of different variety here. Um, I need to hear and see more social proof. I need to see more than one baby as well, because
Well,
this could all.
we don't really see that one.
Right. Well, this could all be one baby, and it's fine to have one baby. Like this is an ad that features this baby. She's like the star. But if you want to really hammer home the social proof, show me that there's a brunette baby or a boy and a girl, or they both love it, and then I know that it's not a fluke. I intrinsically know that it's not a fluke. Um,
Right.
so there's all these different things like the social proof, the testimonial from a mom, the different babies, all this type of stuff should actually be in every single ad unit. And one thing we like to do is create like this base unit, which contains, sometimes they're like over a minute long, but it's really like it's everything you kind of need to know in order to get the click. And then in front of that, we'll put something that is very angle specific. Something like this, and it might be like 20 seconds in front of that. And if someone gets to the 17-second mark, which could be a lot of people, like it could even be like 20% of the audience. If someone puts in the time to get here, they're already kind of invested. Why not give them more? You have that opportunity to give them more. If you don't, you're going to have to pay for that opportunity again with another impression down the road at retargeting CPMs, which are going to be more. So most of the ads that we put in market are like a minute to a minute 30 to 2 minutes, sometimes even longer. And we do find that like 3 or 4% of the audience will get to a minute mark, which is 3% doesn't sound a lot, but like sometimes that's hundreds of thousands of people with enough spend. And if you've watched an ad for a minute, you're halfway to being a customer, So they are using the same headline here, Mom's Choice Award winner, and I think it's definitely more acceptable to use the same headline because the headline is, unfortunately, it's less important than the primary text here. The first lines of the primary text get read. The headline it's just like a little sort of call to action type thing. And if they found the winner, it makes sense to use it. But
It also seems like to me that that's a natural opportunity. That like if it's a Mom's Choice Award winner, like why not use a mom as part of your VO? Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's this automatic connection that we're making in our brains anyway.
yeah. I also want to know what that is, like Mom's Choice Award winner. They've won some awards, and parents are always they're so There's so much anxiety about are they doing the right thing, and that's why these like these things that have been validated by some expert or something are very critical. So like that's also a segment that should be in every ad as well somewhere, you know?
Yeah, makes sense.
So the reason why my ads library looks a little different, I have this plugin that allows you to save the ads here to my own like Pinterest board of ads. So unfortunately, it's got a horrible name, Foreplay. I really dislike that it's like
Marketing.
that combined with like baby images here. But anyways, so let's look at the one that's like really old and see if we can tell why that one might have been performed better. Oh, look, it's a grana. So, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna say, yeah, if anybody will buy it, again, it's just like I'm just blathering on about parent stuff, but it's like if anybody will buy kids books, it's grandparents. Like it totally makes sense to include one in the visual. Like that's a huge opportunity, and it's like a lot of discretionary income. So yeah,
right.
That's
so
a real opportunity.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at this one here. This is my mom with my new nephew. Okay, so this is why I think it really makes sense to tailor this language, this primary text, to this video, because this is clearly about grandmothers, and I feel like if this text were like, hey grandmothers, are you looking for a great activity to spend with your kids or something, it's gonna tie into the video, and it's gonna be ultimately more effective than this, which may performed well on a general basis, but as soon as you put into things that are very specific, you're now matching something general with something specific, and you lose out on some of that effectiveness.
Yeah.
So we'll watch this. I think this text here is a little hard to read, just a little contrast issue, but that stuff matters too. This is my mom with my nephew, George. Also, this sentence is like requiring me to think too much about this relationship. This needs to be like, this is my mom with my son. It needs to be really simple.
Or my mom loves spending time with her grandkids, or whatever. Your version is shorter, so that probably matters. But
all right. Well, they need to match it to their experience, and so this is effectively saying, do you have a grandmother who like wants to spend time with your nephew? Maybe your nephew's George or something. It's just way too specific for it to resonate very quickly, and people's brains are going to be mostly shut off in those first 3 seconds. They may be able to understand this phrase a little bit down the road when they have context about what's going on, yada, yada, yada. But like right here, if you're trying to do like, so like, who is this kid? This is like my nephew on my mom's side. It's just too complicated for...
At the base level, what it's really trying to say is grandmas love grandkids, which they do universally. So, try to get there in an easy way with some impact is what I hear you saying.
Yep. So just to talk about headlines, one tactic that we use is, it's called a general yes question, where we'll ask a question in the headline that everyone should be able to say yes to. This isn't the great example, but it was if you wrote like, do you love your grandkids or something like that, ? And then the answer is like always going to be yes for people that do. I don't know who doesn't, but right. And then so it's just a very easy, super qualifying thing where it's like, oh yes, I love my grandkids, click. Or it could be like, do you have grandkids? And then a grandkid's like, oh yeah, I have grandkids, and then click it to check out. It's just a way to get people like nodding their head, and then when they're in their head when they're saying yes, hopefully their fingers are also saying yes as well. So it might be
Yeah.
worth that there. Can you hear the audio? I can barely
A
hear it.
little, just a little.
So like a lot, if you Facebook used to tell you how much, what percentage of your audience had the sound off when watching their videos on
Oh,
the
that's
organic side.
fascinating.
They did take that away. I don't know why, but it's very much like a it was like 80% or 70% or some people watched Facebook videos with the sound off. And then so that stout came out a bunch of years ago, and then a bunch of people published all these articles that's like, everyone's watching it with sound off. You always need subtitles. You always need it's basically like you're making silent movies now. And but I think the better way to look at that is most of the people are going to watch it with sound off, but not the people who stick with it. Not the people who are watching it for like 15 or 20 seconds, not ultimately not the customers. There's, people just, most people just don't even click on ads to begin with, and
Right.
those are probably the people that are watching it with sound off. So I like to assume that the customers, the clickers, are people that are watching it with sound on. So the sound is very important. And when it's not, like when I can like that audio is so central to what this thing is. I need to hear it. And I need to hear it very, very clearly. And they should probably like mic this thing up and insert that as audio on top of it or something to
Right.
be very clear, Reading together is their favorite bonding activity.
It's a lot of copy there.
Because George is so young. My mom's nephew on my father's side, George, capturing his attention is only possible with musical books or toys that play sound. So one thing that I'm sort of getting here is love this grandmother. What I don't love is the setting. It almost feels like studio or something.
Right.
Something it does not feel entirely native. Something's just kind of not as real or as natural as this experience should be. Like, I'd love to see, I don't know, something that's way more natural and doesn't have like a white wall or something like that.
It's a little. It is a little staged. And yeah, and I do think that like another one of these, like there's a reason why a lot of these, in my opinion, like a lot of these ads that are aimed toward either parents of kids who are that age or kids who are that age have bright, vibrant colors that play
Right.
somewhere in there. Like it's just it is a short attention span theater scenario, but it's like also like they tend to be more upbeat. This does look like a little bit more of a staged studio scenario.
Yeah, and that goes to the credibility. Like for this to work, I need to believe that these two are related and that they are in their house. And this is something she does often. And I'm kind of not. I'm just something about. I just not believing it currently. Oh my God! So here's another strange clip where it cuts right as she's gonna like say something, and it's like, what is?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like what is? It's just a weird time to edit, and it creates some cognitive discomfort here that doesn't sit well. I don't know.
You know what? I would be willing to bet that what happened is she said something back to the kid that like wouldn't play on the ad, but it does feel like there's still an opportunity to do something with that moment that isn't necessarily being met.
Yeah. So it's interesting because this is an ad aimed at grandmothers or grandparents, and so it's important to show that the kid is into it, but it's actually more important to show that like the grandmother's getting something out of this too.
Right.
Like she's, I don't know, like helping him or like laughing with him or, something. It's like you need to remember who the actual buyer is here as well. To engage, facilitating bonding time with grandma. So definitely like, 2 syllables max, max here. Like you can't just throw facilitating in there. It is not like you need to talk how your customers talk. And if the reviews were like, I love facilitating bonding time with my grandson George, it would work, but they're not like that. I guarantee you they're not like that.
Facilitating sounds like a word that's gone around the boardroom for a little while and then been agreed upon by a number of people. Certainly not how a grandma would talk.
Right, exactly. And even words like engaged, like, capturing his attention. There's more colloquial ways of saying that than what's going on here.
And the thing is, like, when you talk in those sort of businessy, like, sterile terms, what you lose is all that emotion that you keep talking about and, like, the opportunity to, like, really make people feel something.
Right. People will pick that up. So I think we're going to have to cut it here because I'm a little over for a meeting that I have.
Yeah. Oh, no worries. Thank you so much. I again, appreciate, as always, taking all the time. Thank you, Daphna, for sending in this. Hopefully we weren't too brutal, but these are great opportunities to have conversations about the way that we put ads together. And Jess, we appreciate your expertise as always.
My pleasure, anytime. And this was done with love out of anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the rest of you, we did talk. We Jess and I did briefly talk, and we'll talk more about when we can do more of these or other ways that we can. We want to be respectful of his time, but also it's amazing that there's so much interest. So anyway, keep them coming. Check out Jess's Deep Dive Creative channel in Narwhal Nation, and thanks for raising your hand, guys. Jess, we will catch you again on the next one.
Great, my pleasure. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, cheers, guys.